In the autobiography Kaffir Boy, written by Mark Mathabane, Johannes grew up in a ghetto situated in South Africa. Discrimination and segregation were daily battles that he and the rest of the black people living there faced. The years of apartheid violently tore families apart and forced black people to live in poverty and despair. The story describes a boy's dream to attend college in America, with many difficulties standing in his way. A lack of money and means of getting to colleges to notice him were just a few of his problems. Apartheid is the racial regulations established in 1948 and rebuked in 1994. Dr. D.F. Mallon was the man who led the National Party that centered on an openly racist campaign. The National Party came into power instituting a number of rules separating different races on every level of society. The Afrikaner system became increasingly based on non-white labor and isolation from international trade. The prohibition of mixed marriages, the Population Registration Act, and the Group Areas Act were a few of the more significant laws passed by the government of South Africa. A non-violent civil resistance movement with international support and sanctions ended in the Afrikaners agreeing to negotiate. On March 17, 2002, an end of the apartheid system was declared. Johannes grew up living in the apartheid system, and the majority of his childhood he hated all whites. He had this notion that every single one of them was a hideous being. That is until he grew up and met some non-racist, open-minded white people. He grew connections with whites through his love of tennis. Johannes faced the consequences of hate and threats from large numbers of blacks because of it. Johannes and his family struggled to earn a solid meal each day, and his mother was forced to overwork herself in order to get her children an education. Despite all of this, his dream of traveling to America prevailed and was his number one goal. Everyone doubted that he would ever board a plane traveling to the U.S. in his lifetime, or that he would ever be able to get a full-ride scholarship out of college there. In the end, Johannes accomplished both of these things, undeterred by the many obstacles that stood in his way. The parts in Kaffir Boy that really stood out to me were the descriptions of how horrible life really was living in the ghettos of South Africa. As Johannes said when he traveled to the Crossroads squatters camp, the shacks were made of plastic, tin, and cardboard and stood near clumps of blue gum trees. There's no running water, sewage system, streetlights, or privacy. Malnourished children ran around half naked with distended bellies and large heads full of sores. Here and there a mangy dog licked the bloody feces off a child with dysentery. Here and there a rasping cough of someone with tuberculosis issued from a shack. Women washed their rags in leaky, rusted washtubs. Page 319. Not only that, but there was a danger of daily police raids, and every black had to carry around a reference book with them at all times. The thing that stood out to me the most was the horrendous conditions that blacks had to involuntarily deal with, which left them unhealthy, starved, and with a typically very low income. The book of Fear Boy illustrates the struggles black people had to face every day. In South Africa during apartheid, there was a saying that to be black is to be at the end of the line when anything of significance is to be had. Black people were treated very poorly and faced discrimination as an everyday battle. Johannes was treated like a fourth-class citizen his entire childhood. He even continued to get the feeling that we, blacks of Alexandria, were like animals quarantined inside a cage by the white man fomenting ignorance and death. The white man, a minority of South Africa, controlled the black man's every move. Around the age of 10, Johannes felt an indescribable anger towards every single white person, but as he grew up he realized there were some kind-hearted whites in the world. The rebellions against the government were a response from pent-up anger and years of discrimination. Johannes participated in these rebellions and saw things ranging from police brutality opening fire on a crowd to desperate people willing to do anything to make a difference in what they believed in. As Jimmy Carter has said in The Hole in Our Gospel, I decided that the most serious and universal problem is the growing chasm between the richest and poorest people on earth. This is stating that this dilemma was not merely confined to the biased government of South Africa, but actually concerned the whole world. Racism is not the only problem in Kaffir Boy. To be male or female could alter your course of action and way of life drastically in the tribal homes of South Africa. Men bought women and owned them for the rest of their life. The wife was expected to comply to every wish and demand of their husbands. Women were subjected to cooking, cleaning, and taking care of their many children. Kaffir Boy is an inspirational story and gives insight on the level of poverty that is occurring or has occurred in South Africa.
Created using Powtoon.